Really, it took me a long time to learn that fake it till you make it is a very applicable piece of advice you can give people. But yeah, no, it is true. You have to, for the most part, believe that you are it for you to be it, because then you work towards it. As we speak right now, I'm actually, the laptop is on a very low table, but I've kind of like lifted it up, and see, I can go down and I can go up, and it's all
You're
on my
monetizer right now.
yeah, monetizer right now. I started having major fun with it with my cats because they love sitting on it. So I like slowly lift it up and they love it. It's a lot of fun.
That's good. Yes, that's good.
Hey there, welcome to another insightful, exciting and chatty episode on Konnect this September with Mandara Nagaraj. Mandara owns the brand Mana in Singapore with her husband Sid Putalia. Both of them work towards optimizing product design to create space-saving solutions for the urban nomad. And she talks about her latest product, Riser, which is literally a relief in the work from home scenario. Check out the interview to know more about that. Also to know about how to get started on Kickstarter, what are the kind of things you need to keep in mind, why marketing is a big deal, and also the 3 Netflix recommendations for designers. Check out for more. Stay tuned for the next one. I can't wait. Love sharing this with you. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.
Thank you so much for joining in on Konnect this month. And congratulations on this whole reserve thing that is coming. And I want to start by actually asking you about that only. What is it? How did you come up with the whole idea of this desk and, this extendable laptop case? Tell me more about it.
So Riser generally came out of the concept of watching everybody kind of like I used to be in advertising. So what I would see people do, especially copywriters, because they'd be on their laptops, they'd stack up their books and then put the laptop at eye height. And, we had agencies where we kind of hot desk everywhere. And so what happens when we're hot desking, we kind of carry like random stuff with us, or whatever we see, we stack up and then we get comfortable. So there was already this observation that everybody was trying to find a solution. And a lot of the times people would buy on Alibaba, those laptop stands that actually just lift your thing up.
Yes.
But it used to be highly inclined and it was actually really bad for your wrist. So I was noticing this a lot. And at the same time, I started working everywhere. I would work at cafes. I would work on my couch even. And I started noticing a little bit of pain. So I was just like, there has to be an answer to this. And so when I saw online, there were a lot of solutions to standing and working, but they were huge things. They were like as big as your desk, and you really couldn't move about with it or have like a very active kind of lifestyle. You really needed to hunker down in one place, and this is your desk and this is the only place you can work. And people no longer do that. I think all of us, we move around a lot. A lot of us, I don't know about you, but in Singapore, we love sitting at cafes and working.
Yes.
Yeah, and getting a good view of the beach and things. So that's when it kind of hit me that there is a extensively large market of these standing desks that are so big and so expensive. They go into the range of like $900 to $1,500. What about like poor folks like us that only have about $100 to $200 to invest in things like this? There wasn't much of a premium solution. So that's when we kind of started experimenting with creating a kind of portable laptop desk that could actually double up as your laptop case, because that was another gap I noticed. It was separate. Like you could only see people carrying their little stand and the laptop, and there was nothing very elegant as a solution that existed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we went about it. We didn't really, we made like about 25 prototypes, I think, and it as we kept using them, and I would use them a lot, we made some with cardboard as well. It was really fun. Just cut random stuff up, see if it stands. Yeah, so that was fun. And eventually we kind of settled on Riser, which is now, the most flexible kind of setup with the highest height range for a portable standing desk. Yeah.
Interesting. And then you also have this, so Riser comes under your brand, which is Mana, right? So how did you come up with Mana? What's the journey been like? And of course, from your previous, tell me something about your background and then how it eventually, came up to Mana.
So I've always had an entrepreneurial bug inside me. Joined advertising 1.5 to 2 years into Grey, realized that yeah, advertising is cool, but I'm not making the money. I'm giving all these cool ideas off to big brands, and I feel bad for my my little brain that's just churning out little ideas. So I was like, okay, you know what? Now I think is the time, because you're young, you can jump, make mistakes,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's when I decided to kind of veer off and start Mana. And this is, by the way, only possible because I have, luckily, a partner in life and partner at work who is amazing in industrial design. So him and I would just, on a normal Sunday, just like bounce ideas off of each other. Now in e-commerce, if you notice, if you like something and you want to buy it, for the most part, your shipping costs as much as the
Yes.
product itself, and sometimes even more.
Yeah.
And even then, people buy. But having said that, I think we've come at a time where we can optimize things like this through product design. And I also have the side passion of kind of bringing product design back to its glory of like Steve Jobs days. You actually appreciate what you make and what you hold, what you use. So with the help of my partner Sid, both of us just kind of got down to it. I mean, he's really good at making things. A lot of things in our house is made by him and turned out to be eventually like Mana products. So one day we were just like, okay, you know what, let's start small and try and ship products in envelopes. What would be something that we could ship in envelopes, because postage is the cheapest way of getting things across. How would we do that? And that's when this whole thing of like, maybe a paper light, can we do a paper light? Is that possible? And then we tried tons and tons of different ways, some extremely complex, some extremely simple. And then it just became like high school science, where I was like, the circuit thingy, like the positive and the negative, but we just create a flat circuit and it turns into a tuck. And he was just like, yeah, that's possible. And so, I mean, that was the fun part, where we always have this back and forth, and like we build on each other's ideas. And that's how our first product came onto Kickstarter, which is the flat pack light, which basically can make any place super romantic, and you can do multiple things with it. It's kind of like the Lego of lights. So you just keep adding stuff and you can make your own lightscapes. That's when, we began to realize that our core kind of design mantra is doing more with less, but at the same time speaking to the people of today, who are people like us, who our homes are constantly changing. We're always living in rental apartments. We can't really settle down into like having a huge couch, things like that. So how do we really travel light, move light? And that's when we decided that no, we have to create a brand like Mana that caters to urban nomads that have temporary homes, that need some, anything that they have must have a lot of function, a lot of versatile uses. And yeah, and then we just started in that journey and in that mindset of creating products like that.
And you started with Kickstarter, right? What is it like for complete dummies? What is Kickstarter, and what are the kind of tips you can share with somebody who should look at it as a platform?
Okay, so I will make it very easy. Kickstarter is a completely crowd-funded experience where people kind of, creators like me, who don't have any VC backing, who don't have any seed fund, who don't have, savings even, but who have ideas and maybe even like a working prototype, they want to start selling it without putting upfront costs like mold costs or any upfront capital costs, right? So what Kickstarter does is it kind of gives you this platform where you tell people who want to buy a product that, hey, here's a good idea. You know what? If you want it, we can totally make it, but I need a minimum amount to start producing and to start getting into manufacturing. So what is amazing about that is that it's a very risk-free process where you haven't put any money in. It also is a process where you begin to identify the demand for your idea. Is it even an idea that's worth it? So it's a very good litmus test. It just gives you a sense of, okay, people don't understand this, or people understand this, people need this, they don't need this. And it's kind of a launch pad for your brand.
You said, there have been a lot of learnings with Dia. What are those? Maybe if you could share like three of them. And you also said that you're good at, making money and going out there and managing that. So what are your three tips to do that entire bit?
Oh, good question. Okay, so three tips. With Kickstarter in general, marketing is life. Marketing is everything. Our biggest mistake with Dia, I feel like, is we did not push it hard enough in terms of marketing. We had this notion that Kickstarter would kind of do the whole thing. You're putting it on a platform, all the Kickstarter backers will come and back you. No, you kind of need to make sure you are out everywhere. So press, blogs, influencers, anyone that can give you a lift is what you need. Second tip I would say is your goal. It's a very tricky thing. There's a lot of science behind how Kickstarter works, psychology, not even science. You'll have like this counter that says 100% funded or 120% funded. It's a relative word, right? Percentage. But your absolute is whatever your goal is. So for Dia, our goal was about 20,000. And that was how much we needed to um, leave with a minimal amount of profit, but also cover all our manufacturing costs. And that it's a tough one because time passes between the Kickstarter campaign and when you actually produce. A lot of material costs change, a lot of things happen. So make sure when you put in your Kickstarter goal, this is tip number 2, you have to have a lot of margin in your Kickstarter goal, but at the same time the balance is to keep the goal low so that you can shout to the world and say, oh my god, we got 100% funded in one day, because that's the ring. And that's again back to marketing, because you constantly need to market things and make it outlandishly amazing, because no one will take notice otherwise. So yeah, that would be tip number 2. And tip number 3, it's mainly that I think get a good copywriter, and make sure that your campaign and your storyline and everything is very crisp.
Why is it so important to invest in your space?
So it's the first and the last thing you do in a day, right? You wake up in your space and you sleep in your space. It's what is home. And I have a really fun story about my space. COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
And while everybody else was freaking out about being indoors, I was rejoicing because I was like, this is the time, right? I full on, I think it was my introverted side. I don't know what it was, but I would say it just made me extremely happy. I was like, I can dig down now, paint all my walls, change stuff. And I had a blast doing it. And I think it was a 3-week project where I painted all my walls, did a lot of DIY stuff with IKEA, lots of secondhand buying and fun, absolute fun. And at the end of the day, it became a space more dearer to me. Like I fell in love with it. I would just love staying in that space. And while a lot of people enjoy going out, they still love their space. They own their space, right? So it's very important. It's your little nest.
But I have this habit of almost every week finding something new to change in my surrounding, because I feel like, okay, I need to change now and I need to decorate something here, something there, add something, remove something.
Yeah.
Pretty much fun.
It's called, there's this homesteader that I watch on YouTube and she calls it fluffing.
Tell me 3 Netflix shows or 3 online streaming shows that you think designers must dig into.
There's abstract design. It's a list of short episodes featuring different designers in different fields. So straight from illustration to interior design, whatever, like the whole spectrum, it's there. Have you seen The Toys That Made Us?
No, I haven't. I'm yet to see.
So it's toys. It just shows you the history of how toys are created, but there's so much of design thinking in it. But outside of Netflix, there's one that actually inspired Sid and I to work together. It's called Design is One by the Vignellis.
Okay.
It's basically the story of Massimo Vignelli and his wife.
Okay.
The wife is an industrial designer in this case, and the husband is a graphic designer.
Your advice for the urban nomad who cannot be a nomad anymore because of this whole COVID scenario? How do you view it?
For the people stuck at home, I think, we covered this about space. You kind of need to create your own new world in your new space, and, you know, almost be a cat. Like, if you observe a cat, every time a cat walks into the room, it looks around and it's like, I don't know the space. Let me look at that corner. Let me look at this corner. Is that right? And you have to kind of start looking at everything and just be amazed by it and be thankful that, worst comes to worst, you're inside and you have your Netflix, you have your laptop, you have your work. For those who do have work, I do know a lot of people who got retrenched, but for the most part, if you're at home, create your own spaces and be a nomad in your own home and have nice, fun spaces that you could enjoy.
Thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you for taking
Of course, anytime.